guys have got a good view of me speaking. So you should have a side view going on. Okay, am I live? Right, I'm live. Good afternoon, LinkedIn. Hope you're doing well. And TikTokers. Okay, so welcome to my afternoon talk. So from my TikTok experience, you'll get the full 30 minutes. For LinkedIn, you only get 15 minutes. So I'm going to go and talk through self-development. Um, anyway, so self-development and mental health. So thank you for those of you might still be at work. Some of you might be at home. That's fantastic. But this really conversation is something that I've been working on this week in terms of my TikTok community and trying to do some re-education around how we align self-development and mental health. So those of you who've never seen me speak before, my research is based on the relationship between mental health and emotional intelligence. And for the last 5 years, I've been using my own condition, non-epileptic attack disorder, also to embed that into my research. So let me get stuck into it. The reason why I want to do this short talk, it might go on a little bit longer, I don't know. I'm going to try to keep it 15 minutes for you guys on LinkedIn because I know you're busy. And then for my TikTok community, they'll be tuning in for a little bit longer. So self development, if I could, try to indicate to you what self development is, which I think is an important skill. What have I got here? For some reason, I'm unable. Right. Okay, here we go. Hopefully, I'm on the right path. Okay, so hopefully you can see everything. I'm hoping. Yeah, I'll go back into that. Let's take me off Right, I'm back. Right, okay. So stress and anxiety. Anxiety is not a dirty word. Anxiety is real, and we all have worries. Okay, so when people say, "Oh, I'm going to the doctors because I've got anxiety," but you can't live on this planet without anxiety. Okay, we're not perfect humans. We have emotions. We have happiness, sadness, jealousy, loads of different kinds of emotions, and we all need to get to a better level of understanding who we are in life. And in my talk this morning, I was saying to people, look, we need to be thankful, go for our walks, clear our head, recognize that the world is not perfect. There's two wars in Europe. This will affect is costing lives, affecting business, and it's going to get more harder next year. I don't think it's going to improve that much, sadly. So, how do we move forward? Well, going back to the kind of definition of self development, we need to work on ourselves, okay, in a conscious effort to say, you know what, I'm a bit lost in life. I've got all these things happening, especially if you're young. If you're in business, you've got concerns because January is always that time where we think, you know what, I'm fed up with my job. I want to start a new year, new career, right? As the old phrase says. But sometimes that can be difficult, especially now because it is a tight labor market. And, even myself recently, I was trying to poke myself into getting a small part time retail job. And I don't mean this in a shameful way, but Marks and Spencer said no. And it's funny because a man in my stature can't even get a job in a supermarket. Um, and I've had this before. This was interesting. I suppose in one way it's more of an experiment because obviously I've got my own businesses, but it was interesting to me because I'm thinking, okay, right, we have, you know, kind of lost the way that we train and embed, staff in our organizations because we're not willing to recruit people that are over a certain age. There is age discrimination. And it does, that affects mental health and that affects your self development as a society. So if companies are unwilling to recruit the older people like myself, where does that leave us? And you've got the world two wars in Europe. So, where's the excitement? Where's my aspiration? I've got my own aspiration, but I'm just giving you a mock story, basically. So I thought that was quite interesting. But I think I'll leave my camera on and I'll just go into my actually I won't. I'm gonna go into my next slide for you guys, which is slightly more complex, I'd say. Um, align how do we align self-development needs? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, um, you've got an image in front of you that sort of like you've got the the the, the relaxation stage, a lady sitting down being calm, and going back to what I said, you go for a job, for instance, they say no and you're lost. And how do we line that capability to kind of, get a better mental health? Because, when we get turned down for a job, that's tough. And we're going to get turned down for a lot more jobs in our lifetime, especially as we get older, and definitely there's a lot of people out there that are worried about their jobs because of generative AI or artificial intelligence. And that's real. So I would argue, look, as I stated at the start of this lecture, self-development is something that is your personal values, how you learn, how you train, when you learn, what you want to learn. So you have to shape and your own curriculum. However, um, the alignment needs to happen really from how do you get fulfillment, and you're only going to get fulfillment if you understand more about emotional intelligence. Just to confuse you even more, because if you don't understand where your stress and anxiety comes from, how are you going to be happy? So yeah, you work on your self-development needs, but then you need to understand your emotions. So really, you align your self-development needs from your emotions that you feel as a human today, what you want to do, and things like your career path. And then you build up your own curriculum, your own pathway. And I'm doing exactly that right now. I'm retraining to become a counselor. I'll just come off of slide slide share for now. So I'm retraining as a counselor. Um, and it's a difficult pathway that I'm trying to carve out because I've got all these expertise, and now I'm, next year doing more work in my community, which is great, for mental health support work groups, and I'm trying to put in the world's first walk-in mental health clinic, but that takes time, capital, and loads of different things. But I want to increase my thought leadership, and I want to increase my expertise. So that's all my self development elements. But I know at the same time, I've got to align my own emotions, my actual mental health, and that's quite difficult. So, I'm not going to go out like I did last January with all these goals and say to myself, you know what? I'm going to do this, and push myself. At the moment, I've got probably enough on my plate to grow my own expertise, grow my brands, start generating revenue, and building a team. It takes time, and I'm happy with that. So I feel I know my emotional intelligence quite well. I'm good at my self leadership practice, which I have spoken about this week in my TikTok community. But now I'm trying to bring it all in together and give you some of my thoughts around self development and mental health. Um, so I'm going to move on to my last couple of slides. So I'll do a slide share again. I'm getting used to this now. So I've talked about alignment of self development and mental health. The L&D perspective, I've kind of mentioned in brief. Really, self development, I don't see it being used a lot in the L&D world anymore that much. You might use it, I don't know, but I find that self development is a comfortable word for me rather than, because there's so much talk, articles, thought leadership around CPD and personal professional development, and self development just feels more comfortable. So I think we need to reframe not how we learn, that's up to you because it's self development, but what keywords are we using in the workplace to understand how people really learn and prosper? That's my argument. And my last slide is getting to feel comfortable, okay, with self development. And it is about emotional intelligence. I'm not going to go into all of these, it's too much. But I think going into 2024, for me personally, empathy and motivation are the drivers that's going to happen in terms of my own alignment of EQ, which I've mentioned before. So for me to grow as an individual, I would argue that I need to have more empathy for myself and more motivation, which I can get by reflecting upon my thoughts. Okay. So I'm going to end the LinkedIn talk now. Thank you for joining me. Apologies if my voice sound a bit croaky. It's a bit of a dry room I'm in, actually, my bedroom, but never mind. I do hope you got some value from it, and I certainly enjoy these talks. Although my voice is going at the back, you can see I'm trying to promote. It's not a well done marketing, but anyway, Empathy Leadership Magazine. I've rebranded the magazine I've got on LinkedIn. I will try to grow it next year. It's only got over 4,000 subscribers. I want it to be a bigger magazine. It takes time. And if you want to get me on TikTok, which I'm now going to turn to, it's Healthy Secrets. Anyway, LinkedIn, thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Have a great one. And I will see you soon in maybe in the new year.